We're learning Sefer Yehoshua, Perek Shlishi. Start going through the beginning of the chapter and tell me Perek Shlishi. Gimel. You're in Hey, that's Dalet. Dalet, very good. Look. Bet. Gimel. Okay. This is Perek Gimel. I would like to know, let's go through the Perek. It's not a long Perek. Some 17 psukim, that's all. Tell me what stands out, what is emphasized in this chapter. Which term, which concept is repeated and repeated in this chapter? Shalom, Mike, Shavua Tov. Shalom, Yaakov, Shavua Tov. There's a specific term that's repeated in Yehoshua Gimel. Let's give them place. Sorry. One for you each. Okay. Yehoshua chapter 3. Go through the chapter and tell me what seems to be repeated several times, and therefore it's obvious that this is the focal point, the central matter of Perek Shlishi. Which concept is repeated and repeated? Shalom. Come over here. Bring a chair here. Okay. Okay, which concept is repeated and repeated? Right, and in Hebrew, how is the ark written here? Is it written Aron HaKodesh? Aron Habrit, very good. We're dealing here with the Ark of the Covenant, the Ark of the Aron Habrit, which was repeated so many times. And it's obvious that this Aron, and that it's a Brit, we have to contemplate and understand what message is the Tanakh telling us. What message is the Tanakh telling us? So let's begin reading and see what's happening here. Vayashkem, remember, just momentarily, Yehoshua and the nation received a message from the two spies. The two spies representing the nation are ready, spiritually, not being limited by their sins, of lust or desires for idolatry, or for sexual immorality. And now they're told that the nations of the Canaan are what? Are afraid of Israel. The nations of Canaan are afraid of Israel. Vayashkem Yehoshua baboker, vayesu me'ashitim, vayavo ad hayarden, hu v'chol b'nei Yisrael. Vayalinu sham terem ya'avoru. Yehoshua, who's ready to act, does not sleep late in the morning. He gets up very early in the morning. And Am Yisrael begins traveling from which area? The same area from which the Meraglim were sent. The same area where sexual immorality was done. And now Israel has corrected that matter. They're ready to go in. And they travel from Shittim to the Jordan River. And everyone is there but lodging overnight before they pass. They're not passing over the river. In a moment we'll understand what day or calendar date it is. But notice everyone is traveling from the Shittim to the Yarden, namely from the easterly direction to the west. And now we're stopping here in front of the Yarden. And now Yehoshua's command. Vayim ektzeh shloshet yamim. They're camped there for 3 days. Vayavru hashotim b'kerev hamachaneh. The officers of Israel, police officers, whatever you want to call them, they're now going out to do what Yehoshua told them to do. We learned in the other chapter. And that is, prepare Israel that we're going to be passing or crossing the Jordan in 3 days. In 3 days. When are... We learned that already in chapter 1. Okay? We're going to see in a moment when these 3 days are. Pasuk Gimel. Vayitzavu et ha'am lemor. The officers go around and they command the nation saying, Kirotchem. Kir. Look at the kaf at the beginning of the word. Kirotchem et aron brit Adonai Elohechem. V'kohanim ha'leviim nosim oto. V'atem tisu mimkomchem v'alachtem acharav. The commandment is that when you see the Aron Brit Hashem moving, and who are carrying it? What does it say here? Who are carrying it? It says Vakohanim Haleviim. Decide. Is it the Kohanim carrying it? The Aron? Or is it the Leviim carrying it? Rather, Kohanim meaning B'nai Levi. When it says Kohanim HaLeviim, referring to the Kohanim that are from the tribe of Levi. They are carrying the Aron Brit Hashem. V'atem, when they start carrying it, Atem, you, the nation, Tis'u mimkomchem, only then start traveling. V'alachtem acharav, and go after the what? The Aron Brit. However, Pasuk Dalet, however, Rachokia Menachem uveino. You must keep a distance. We'll ask ourselves why. Is there special kedusha to be attentive to? Don't get too close. What's the problem getting too close? We'll try to understand that when we get to the end of the chapter. Ach rachokia Menachem uveino. How far must the distance be? Ke'alpayim ama b'midah. Midah is measurement. 2,000 cubits, meaning 1 kilometer. Correct? 2,000 amot is approximately 1 kilometer. 1 amah is 1/2 of a meter. 2,000 is 1,000 meters. Al tikravu elav, don't get any closer. Leman asher tidu et haderech asher telchuva, ki lo avartem baderech mitmol shilshom. It seems clearly that the leader of Israel, inside the land of Israel, will be the Aron Brit. That will be defining which direction we're going in. We could stop for a moment right now, after now we're able to answer questions 1 and 2. Is the carrying of the ark any different than what we learned during the course of Chumash Bamidbar? We can notice 2 basic differences. How or who carried the ark in the Midbar, and who and how the ark is being carried here going into the Jordan River and going into the land of Israel. What's the difference? Did you notice?
Well, the Levites carried it.
Very good. Shevet Levi was in charge of carrying The Aron HaKodesh, the Aron HaBrit. And here, who is it being done by? The Kohanim. The Kohanim, sir. Alan, the Kohanim here, from the tribe of Levi, they are doing it. That's number one. Another major difference, does anyone can understand from here? The position. Here, going forward, what's leading us up front is the Aron HaBrit. That was not the case in the Midbar. In the case of the Midbar, usually we had two digalim, two flags with three tribes apiece, going up front, like a beam according to one meaning in Chazal, and then in the middle was all the Mishkan and its Kelim inside the middle. And then two other flags with another 6 tribes in the back. Here, the Aron HaBrit is up front. Now, let's try to understand what's happening and why is this the case. What led the nation of Israel during our 40 years of traveling in the Midbar? What led us? Moshe, the clouds, Amud Anan. Basically, the pillars of the clouds, when they went up above the camp, that was a sign for us to take our belongings and begin moving in the direction the Amud Anan did. However, my dear friends, once Moshe Rabbeinu passed away, and it's almost 30 days ago, almost. Well, I'll show you how we get to that account in a moment. Since then, you know what was removed from Israel? The Ananei Kavod, the clouds of glory. There's no longer clouds of glory. Just like 2 other things were removed from Israel. One, the Be'er of Miriam. The well of Miriam was removed. And so too, the man. The man that was coming down from heaven no longer is coming down. It could very well seem that Hashem is getting Israel ready for a more natural, not supernatural, natural way of direction. That Hashem wants Am Yisrael to be led through the laws of nature, without the man, without the Ananei Kavod, the Kohanim carrying the Brit, the Aron Brit, will be leading you. Why? What's the idea of here? What's the idea of Aron and Brit? Okay? What's the idea of the Aron and Brit? And therefore, question number 5, where previously in the Tanakh have we seen the term Brit? Where have we seen the word in the Brit? In Avram Avinu. What do you remember regarding Avram Avinu? Very good. To what Mike is alluding to, look at source number 2, please. Source number 2, which is Breshit, Perek Tet Vav, chapter 15, Pasuk 18. Bayom Hahu. Do you see where I'm reading from? On that day. Do you see it? Bayom Hahu, Karat Hashem, Et Avraham. What does et mean? With. Hashem established with Avraham Brit. We're not talking about circumcision. I'm going to ask you what the word Brit means in a moment. Lamor is saying, Lezaracha, to your children, Natati et haaretz hazot. I've given this land from where? Minahar Mitzrayim. What is Nahar Mitzrayim? What is the river of Egypt? Some say Nile, some say Vadi El Arish. Okay? Ad Hanahara Gadol, until the great river, where? In Hebrew? Prat. Nahar Prat. Here it says, Nahar Prat. So my dear friends, we see that there was a Brit made with Avram Avinu. And I'm asking you right now, what is the significance of the word Brit? What does a Brit mean? This is something very fundamental to Torah, to Judaism. What does, my English is poor, it's a deal. Okay, that's one word. Anyone have another word other than deal? An agreement. Another term, very good. We're getting warm. A divine contract. A divine contract. In other words, when we're talking about a Brit, clearly we're talking about a relationship between Hashem and whoever's the other party of the Brit. If we look universally, let's look at source 1 and see a universal Brit that has really nothing to do per se with Am Yisrael. Look at the first source, which is coming from Breshit chapter 9. Kashti is what? What is a keshet? A rainbow, very good. Et kashti natati be'anan. My keshet, my rainbow, I'm placing in the cloud. V'haitain, it shall be le'ot brit, a sign of a brit. Beini, between me, uvein haaretz, and the land, meaning mankind. This, one of the first times that we see the word Brit in the Torah, is a covenant, a divine contract between Hashem and mankind, that Hashem will no longer do what? Destroy or bring a mabul, bring a flood to destroy the earth. That's the first Brit, the relationship between Hashem and mankind. The second one that you mentioned, that we just read, is between Hashem and who? And Avram Avinu. Right? Furthermore, let's read another one in source 3. V'et briti akim et Yitzchak. And with my Brit I shall establish with Yitzchak. Asher teled lecha Sarah. Hashem is already foretelling the name of the child. It was not Avram and Sarah that called the child Yitzchak. Hashem already, in prophecy, in Nevuah, told Avram Avinu the name of the child. Vet briti akim et Yitzchak, I shall establish this Brit, my Brit, with Yitzchak, asher telei lecha Sarah, lamoed hazeh, at this time, b'shana acheret, next year. Hashem is foretelling the Mazal Tov that will happen in next year. Okay? No, move to your right, please. Thank you. You're welcome, sir. Now, that's a second Brit. Gentlemen, that's with Avraham, with Yitzchak. Hashem does the same thing with the third patriarch. Who? Yaakov. Shows a relationship, a divine relationship between God and the patriarchs. In here, in reference to the land of Israel, that it's given over as a Brit, a divine contract. Let's look at another Brit, number 4, Shemot Perik Lamed Daled. This, of course, in Shemot Lamed Daled 34, is coming before or after Har Sinai. Shemot 34 is before or after Har Sinai. Thank you. Okay, so chapter 34 is after Har Sinai. Right, 21 is Mishpatim, the 10 Commandments already in 19. Or chapter 20 rather. Okay? So here, Vayomer, Hinei Anochi Koreit Brit. I'm reading source 4. Behold, I am establishing a Brit. Neged Kol Amcha, in parallel to the entire nation. I'm going to do wonders. Asher lo nivru, I'm going to do what wonders that never happened on the earth and amongst any of the nations, etc., etc. Here we see that a Brit is established not only with the patriarchs, but with the nation of Israel for the giving of the land. So, gentlemen, if until now we understand the concept of the word Brit, and Rabbi Tzvi the Cook would explain that a Brit is a divine creation that does not change and never will change. a divine contract, a divine creation. If that is the case, we're now asking ourselves, Perek Gimel, what features this chapter? The nation is now beginning to move from Shittim to the Jordan River. What will be leading us is no longer the what? The Amud Ha'anan, no longer the cloud of glory, but will be leading us is the Aron. And here it's called not the Aron HaKodesh, but it's called Aron HaBrit. That will be the leadership of Am Yisrael, the Torah, the Ark of the Covenant. That will be what's leading the nation of Israel. And now this is the beginning of a new era. A new era. The Torah leading Am Yisrael. Of course we have leadership, but we also have what? The Torah is leading the nation. The learning of the Torah, the direction of the Torah, as understood by the leaders, the scholars, etc. That is what's leading the nation right now. Now, what's the significance of this? Let's go see now further into the chapter. We're told that the nation can't get too close to the what? To the Aron HaBrit. Why? Because the Aron has very, very high level of Kedusha. Very sacred. You have to understand. You think you're a righteous man. You think you're a holy individual. You think you can touch anything and get close to anything. There is importance in Torah Judaism for what we call in Hebrew, distance. Do you know what distance is? There has to be distance. You know what distance is? Merchak. Merchak. We can't get too close. Let's say he's my rabbi, and he's a scholar and he's a rabbi. I can't, hi rabbi, how you doing, my friend, my buddy, this. You have to show distance. Where there is distance, there's fear. There's fear. There has to be fear. Not only love, not only ahavat Hashem, the love of God, but there has to be yirah, fear. If we were to only serve Hashem by doing the Ramach mitzvot, 248 mitzvot, what does each and every mitzvah produce? Love. The more I do on behalf of God, the more I love Him. Just like I have a wife and children, the more I do on behalf of my wife and children, the more it's going to produce love, connection. But if there's only love, then I don't know where the red line is, where the boundary is. And therefore Hashem, in His great wisdom, gave us how many mitzvot lo ta'aseh? 365 mitzvot lo ta'aseh. What does each and every of these mitzvot produce? The Maharal explains, it produces distance, fear. There has to be a balance. There has to be an equibalence in my soul, serving Hashem. Serving Hashem with two major attributes. With ahavat Hashem, the love of God, and with yirat Hashem, the fear of Hashem. And this gives me a perfect balance. Because if too much love, I'm going to go over the line. I'm not going to know where to stop. Too much fear, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to be nervous, and I'm going to be in fear, paranoia. I'm not going to be coming to do things. There has to be a balance. Do you follow what I'm saying? That's how the Maharal of Prague explains in several places the idea of the mitzvot aseh and the mitzvot lo ta'aseh. Here, because of the great Kedusha, the replacement of the glory of clouds is the Aron HaBrit. It's leading us. Were we able to touch the clouds of glory when it was moving? No. So too now. Keep a distance of how much? How far away? A kilometer. Alpayim Amma. Let us continue, please. Pasuk Hey, verse 5. Vayomer Yehoshua el ha'am hitkadashu, ki machar yaseh Adonai b'kirbechem niflaot. Here we see that right now the command is get ready. When is Yehoshua telling the nation get ready? Because tomorrow is the big day. According to what we've been learning in the first 3 chapters, when Yehoshua initially gave the order to the Shotrim, prepare the nation, we're crossing in 3 days. This means right now, three days are now passing. This is the 3rd day that's passing. This is, Rashi brings the name of our sages, day 30. 30 of what? The morning of Moshe Rabbeinu. Very good. That means 30 days have passed. If I understand correctly, ביום השלישי, ויום 30 של אבל היה ראשון ל3 ימים. Okay. Somewhere here, 30 days have passed. Am Yisrael is about to get ready to cross the Jordan. Pasuk Vav. Vayomer Yehoshua el HaKohanim Lemor. Se'u. What is Se'u? Carry. Se'u et Aron HaBrit. Ve'ivru lefnei Am. Go in front of everyone. Vayesu et Aron HaBrit. Vayichu lefnei Am. Indeed, they do so. They're walking in front of the entire nation. Vayomer Adonai el Yehoshua. Hayom hazeh. Achel gadelcha be'einei kol Yisrael. Asher yedun ki kasher hayiti im Moshe. Ehyeh imach. Hashem is saying, I'm heightening you, I'm raising you to a level in the eyes of Israel that they're going to respect you, they're going to honor you just like they honored Moshe Rabbeinu. Because apparently Hashem is about to do a great miracle. Which miracle is about to happen? The splitting of the Yarden. The splitting of the Yarden, which of course will remind us of another great miracle that happened. And what is that? Which other miracle is this? Which miracle? Very good. This will remind us, obviously, and we can draw a great parallel to the splitting of Yam Suf. Do you recall that the splitting of Yam Suf was clearly a great saving of Israel from the great Egyptian army? But from that saving, and God sanctified His name publicly in front of so many people, etc., that was great preparation for what? For the giving of the Torah. Okay, less than a month later. So too here. The splitting of the Jordan, even though there's no real danger now from a nation attacking us, but clearly it's going to demonstrate a great connection between God and Israel and preparation for something else that's great. And that is the giving of the land. The first time the nation will be trotting with their own feet on the holy earth of Western Eretz Yisrael. So just like Yam Suf prepared the Israel for the great stand at Mount Sinai, so too the splitting of the sea, of the Jordan River, will be like preparation for the going into the land. But to going into the land, we're going to learn something, is there's a need to make a Brit another time. If at Sinai, God made a Brit with the nation of Israel, you're my nation, and you have to keep the Torah. And that was made with the nation at Mount Sinai, like we saw right now in chapter 34 in Shemot. We're going to learn that Hashem wants to renew the Kesher. What is a Kesher? The what? the connection or the relationship between Israel and God. Not keshet. I meant to say kesher. Okay? Very good. Kesher. Like what? Right, exactly. Hashem wants to reconnect Am Yisrael to Him when we go in the land. Why? Because this gentleman is a historical role of the nation. Ever since we were taken out of Egypt 40 years ago, it was for the ultimate purpose of walking in the land, not to stay in the desert. So we're coming now to our historical destiny, our historical role, to walk in the land. And therefore, now we're going to begin to understand why we see the word Aron HaBrit, Aron HaBrit, Aron HaBrit mentioned time and time again. Because Hashem's intention is to renew the kesher between God and Israel. Didn't Hashem just make it at Sinai 38 years ago? You're right. But right now we're walking in the land for the first time. This is the real place. This is where it is. This is where our real existence is. What we've been doing for 38 years is just practicing. Practicing. The real thing is, let's make a common analogy. Let's say you're a swimmer and you're practicing and swimming. But all you're doing is practicing. Once you get to the Olympics, that's the real thing, right? Lahavdil, to separate between holy and not holy. We've been practicing doing Torah mitzvot in the desert for 38, 39 years. But the real place is Eretz Yisrael. That's a real existence. Gentlemen, let's continue. Viata, and you. Pasuk 8. Viata titzavet kohanim nosei Aron brit leimor. Kivoachem ad ktsei mei hayarden, bayarden tamodu. When you, the kohanim, tell them, once they get to the edge of the waters of the Yarden, they must stop right there. Stop right there. The instructions of how the miracle is about to happen are divine instructions from Hashem to Yehoshua, and from Yehoshua to the nation and to the Kohanim. Pasuk Tet. Vayomer Yehoshua al bnei Yisrael, go shuheina. Come on, guys, come here. Come close. V'shemu et divrei Hashem Elokeichem. Yehoshua has a divine message that he must tell the nation. What's the message? He's not going to tell us what's going on with the stock exchange or what's going on with the horse contest. Something very, very holy. Pasuk Yud. Vayomer Yehoshua, Bizot Teidun. What you're about to see, what you're coming close right now. I want you everyone to come close here. Everyone be together and come close. Stand closer together. I want you to observe. Bizot Teidun, you're going to know. Ki El Chai Bekir Bechem. Vehoresh Yorish Mipnechem et HaKnani, Vet HaChiti, Vet HaChivi, Vet HaPrizi, Vet HaGirgashi, Vayamori, Vayivusi. Gentlemen, the famous story that you probably heard when Rebbitzin Cook was on the boat from Russia, Rabbi Cook's wife, from Russia to Israel, Palestine. And there were a bunch of Christian nuns. Is that what they call them in English? Nuns? Is that the word? A bunch of Christian nuns. You know what a nun is? Catholic nuns. Thank you. On the boat. And the boat was on sea, traveling from Russia, I don't know exactly from where, to the land of Israel. And they were on the deck, exchanging words. You heard the story? The famous story. They were on the deck, exchanging words, and they started talking. They saw a religious woman dressed with such modesty, Rabbanit Cook, and she knew obviously what type of women they were, not Jewish obviously, and they started exchanging words and questions. And she asked them, where are you going? And I said, where are we going? It's obvious where we're going. Where are you going? What do you mean? It's not clear to you? She returned the question. Where are you going? We're on voyage to the land of Israel. We're going to Beit Lechem. Our God is buried there. We're going to visit our God. Rabbi, that's interesting. You're going to visit your buried God. I'm going to the land of Israel because my God lives there. I'm going to visit my living God. What does Yehoshua say? Ki el chai b'kir b'chem. You, the nation of Israel, you're going to see a living God amidst you. A living God amidst you. My dear friends, how? You're going to see the great miracle. Wonders of God. What's the word for wonder in Hebrew? Nes is a word for miracle. What's the word for wonder? Do we not have a special bracha that we make every day with the word wonder? Very good. Which word is used? Let's go to the ending of the blessing. Baruch atah Hashem, rofei chol basar, umafli la'asot. What does the word, have you heard of that bracha? Umafli. What does the word mafli mean? And Hashem does wonders. Please look with me in source 6. Source 6 is the Shulchan Aruch, Orach Chaim, Siman Vav, chapter 6, Seif Aleph. Rabbi Yosef Cairo writes the following: Keshiyetze mi beit hakisei, when you depart from the, we have modest words for toilets, from the house of the chair, right? All things have to do with things which are intimate in the Hebrew language. Our sages covered it up with language of modesty. And therefore the bathroom is commonly called Beit HaKisei. It's a place where you sit down. See the modesty of the Hebrew language? So the Shulchan Aruch says, Asher, you make the bracha the following. Please put your finger there. Asher yatzaret ha'adam b'chokhmah. We're blessing Hashem that He created man with wisdom. What's the wisdom? Shebriat ha'adam, the creation of man. Look at the anatomy of man. How many pipes? How many valves? The blood system, the heart, the liver, the lungs. It's an unbelievable machine that God created. Even if you buy a Volvo, how long does a Volvo last? 20 years. But the machine that God created called man, it can last 70, 80, 90 years. Even more. What an amazing system, huh? And you don't have to get an overhaul. You don't have to change machines. So the creation of man is wonderful wisdom. He haga, the comment of the Ramah, Rabbi Moshe Isserlish, Viod, Yesh lefaresh. There is to explain. Shemafli laso, what's the wonder that God does? Ba'mesh shomer ruach adam birkivo. The fact that God preserves the spirit of man inside him. V'kosher davar ruchani b'davar gashmi. The pele, the wonder that the Ramah explains here that God does is that God ties the spiritual inside the material. And that's the wonder. Because as you know, the spiritual and the material are two opposites. The spiritual is metaphysical. It doesn't have density or weight. It wants to go up and go high. Where the physical is material. It keeps us down with weight. My dear friends, the connection of life to God what Hashem has created for the nation of Israel, here comes Yehoshua expressing it. What type of God do we have? El Chai B'Kirbechem. The very fact that the Arona Brit is amidst Israel, this testifies to a fact that there's a living God amongst us. Because God is telling the prophets how the Aron Abrit will lead us. Now, the expression of the word El Chai, a living God, is not used often in Tanakh. We find it again in the blessing after the Brit Milah in the synagogue. When we do the Brit Milah, there we see the term El Chai Tzureinu, the living God who is our portion and commanding us, etc. My dear friends, what we're learning here is the living God. If God made a Brit with us 3,500 years ago, it still stands for today. Why? Because when we're dealing with a Brit, we're dealing with a living God that was, that is, and that will be. Man's intelligence is hard for him to understand this. But we have to understand, gentlemen, that the Brit between God and Israel is our very life itself. Is the connection between the spiritual and the material. Our very essence of life is connection to the Almighty. Connection to this metaphysical. And that is a pele. That's a wonder. The connection between the spiritual and the physical. And therefore, the power of the Brit is so great, it's enabling the work of Hashem even in the most rowdy, wild lust and desires that you can find inside man. Okay? When a man marries a wife, okay, the root of the action is a Brit, is sanctity. It's out of Kedusha. So we're not saying a man is marrying just a wife so physically and animalistically he can have relations with his wife. On the contrary, the root of relationship between husband and wife is a Brit, is Kedusha. And therefore, it's not by mere incidents that Hashem decided on the most physical, on the most physical or obese organ, the most gross organ on the human body, down below, there is a sign of holiness. This the nations of the world can't understand. The nations of the world cannot understand how can flesh, how can physical be sanctified. But we are learning this is it. The root of sanctity is the connection between the material and the physical. That's the root of sanctity. Okay? And this is God's decision. And therefore, the seed of Avraham Avinu, he was the one that the Brit was established with. You can take your will and your desire and make your values so delicate and with truth and righteousness. And therefore, this is what Hashem is saying. There's a living God amongst you. Holiness between the physical and the material. And what do you have to do? You're going to have to take weapons and kick the nations, drive them out. The land of God, there's no room for them to be staying in the land. This is, of course, after the fact that they don't want to do what? They don't want to make peace with us, nor do they want to leave the land. Pasuk Yud Aleph, Hine Aron Abrit, Adon Kol Haaretz, Over Lifnechem Bayarden. The leader of the nation is the Torah, the metaphysical. V'ata Pasuk Yud Bet, Chulachem Shnei Asar Ish, take for you 12 men. Mishiftei Yisrael from the tribes of Israel. Ish Echad, L'Shavet, one from each tribe. Pasuk Yud Gimel, V'aya, and it'll be Kinoach Kapot Raglei HaKohanim. Once the feet of the Kohanim rest, the palms of their feet, Nosei Aron Hashem, these are the ones that are carrying the Ark of God. Adon Kol Haaretz is the master of the land, the Torah. is the master of the land. Once they touch B'mei Yarden, in the waters of the Jordan, Mei Yarden Yikaretun, follow the Hebrew gentleman. The waters of the Jordan will be cut, split. Hamayim Ayardim Milamala. Which waters will be split? The waters that are coming from above. Which direction does the Tanakh mean the waters coming from above? From the north. Right? They'll be coming from the north. They're going to stop in a certain point. V'yamdu neidachad. And they'll stand as what? One collection of water. Pasuk Yudalet Vayibin So'am Me'olehem. And now the nation is traveling. They're getting the call to travel. They're traveling from the tents. Lavor et Yarden, to cross the Jordan. V'kohanim nosei Aron v'abrit lifneim. Who's up front? The Kohanim carrying the Aron Abrit. Pasuk Tedvav, Uchivo nosei Aron ad Yarden. Once they reach the Jordan. V'raglei Kohanim nosei Aron nitbilu. Once they immerse their feet b'ktzei hamayim, at the edge of the waters. And what's the situation right now? Vayarden malei al kol gedotav kol yemei katzir. It's the beginning of harvest, gentlemen. The harvest of not the wheat, the beginning of the harvest of the barley, the month of the Nisan. And now we just finished which season of the year? Which season of the year have we just finished? Winter. So don't say, no. This is no miracle. The waters of the Jordan, we're now at the end of the summer. They've dried out. This is no miracle. This is the end of the winter, boys. What's happening in the Jordan River? You be careful if you take a canoe or a kayakim. You're going down with a canoe down the Jordan River. It's streaming with a lot of gust, with a lot of wind. There's a lot of water in there. A collection of all the waters from the winter rains. Okay? It's the beginning of the spring. The waters are filled up all the way to the edges of the river. Pasuk Tetzayit. Vayamdu, and Vayamdu amayim. The waters stand up. A miracle. The nature of water is to look to go down. To go down and lose altitude. Stream down. And now the waters are standing up. Vayamdu amayim ayardim milamala. Kamunei dechad. It's standing like one congealed situation. Harchek me'od ba'adam. Harchek me'od ve'adam ma'ir. Asher mitzat tzaratam vayardim alayad arava yam hamelech tamu nechrutu. Ve'am aru neged Yericho. Gentlemen, let me explain what's happening. According to what I learned, the waters don't stand right here in front of them, but tens upon tens of kilometers. Opposite the Abok. The Abok, you've heard of the Abok River or the Abok Brook? Tens upon tens of kilometers up north, the waters stop there. And now you have a very, very dry field of tens of kilometers. Okay? Asher mitzat tzaratam vayordim al yad arava yam hamelech tamu nichratu v'am avru neged Yericho. As a result of these waters not coming down, we have tens of kilometers of dry land, allowing for the crossing of millions of people crossing the Jordan River. Millions of people are crossing. Millions. If for 600,000, now Parshat Pinchas, we just counted 600,000 men above the age of 20. Many more women, take children and elderly people. We're between 2 and 3 million at least people crossing the Jordan River. Pasuk Yitzayin, Vayamdu HaKohanim, Nosei Aron Brit Adonai Becharava, Betoch HaYarden Hachein, Bechol Yisrael Ovrim Becharava, Asher Tamu Kol Agoy, Lavor Et HaYarden. We see here, everyone's passing on dry land, just like Yam Suf was dry. So too here, the miracle of the splitting of the Jordan is dry.
What's the source?
The source of what? to allow, perhaps, the source. Rishonim, I think some of the Rishonim explain it. But look, it's not that we're crossing in a narrow area. It's going to take us a year to cross. If you have kilometers of area to cross, it'll go much faster. This is now on the 10th of the month of Nisan. 30 days of mourning past, 3 days of preparation. The 10th of Nisan. Hashem doesn't want us to take 3-4 days for millions of people to cross. He wants it on one day. We'll learn why, because as we get to the next chapters.